Okay, we're still in Chapter 6, Solving and Graphing Inequalities. We are in Section 6.5. On the top of your notes, it says 6.2. That was a typo on my part. So it is 6.5, Graphing Linear Inequalities. You need to change that in your notes so it says that on top. The teachers will look for that tomorrow. If it says 6.5, Graphing Linear Inequalities, that's going to be one of the things that tells us that you watched this video. So our targets, we are going to use linear inequalities to solve applications, and we are going to determine the linear inequality given the graph, okay? So those are our two targets for today. Okay, to start out with, our first application is you have $12 to spend on fruit for a meeting. Grapes cost $1 per pound, and peaches cost $1.50 per pound. We want to let X represent the number of pounds of grapes you can buy, and we want to let Y represent the number of pounds of peaches you can buy. So we're going to write and graph the inequality to model the amounts of grapes and peaches you could buy. So to start out with, let's take a look. It says grapes cost $1 per pound. And then we want to let X represent the number of pounds of grapes, okay? And then the next part of it is, it says peaches cost $1.50 per pound. And then it says let Y represent the number of pounds of peaches. Okay, so that's two pieces of information. Is that $12, we have $12 to spend on fruit. That would be the maximum amount that we have to spend on fruit. So we'd have $12 here to spend on fruit. So to set up our inequality, we're going to start out with our grapes, and we're going to say that that is $1, and we're going to let X represent that. And we're going to add that to the amount of pounds our peaches are. So we're going to say $1.50 Y for the amount that we would spend on peaches. And our inequality, so we want all of that to be less than or equal to. So we're going to use the inequality less than or equal to, because we can't go over our $12 limit. So we would put 12 here. So our whole inequality would be X plus 1.5Y is less than or equal to 12. So to graph that, what we have to do is solve for Y first. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract an X from both sides here. And that's going to give me 1.5Y is less than or equal to negative X plus 12. Okay, well, I still got my 1.5 there, so I need to move that now. So I'm going to divide everything by 1.5. And if I simplify that, that will now give me Y is less than or equal to, and this is an ugly Y-intercept of negative 1 over 1.5, and my X here. And then 12 divided by 1.5 is going to give me 8. Okay, well, I really don't like that Y-intercept. So what I did is I plugged it into my calculator, negative 1 divided by 1.5, and it gave me a decimal of 0.6 repeating, which came out to, if I hit the math key on my calculator and convert it into a fraction, I had Y is less than or equal to 2/3 X plus 8. So that's a lot nicer Y-intercept to work with. Okay, so the two things I have my Y-intercept of 8, oh, I'm sorry, 2/3 is my slope. I know I said Y-intercept earlier, and I have a slope of 2/3. So that's two pieces of information I need. So I'm going to start out here, and I'm going to go up 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have a Y-intercept of right there. And then this tells me I'm going to go, and I need to apologize because I should have a negative sign in front of this slope here, and a negative sign there. I was wondering where that went. Okay, so this tells me I need to go down 2 and over 3. So I would keep coming out with points along this line. So now to graph my line, since it's less than or equal to, that means I'm going to have a solid line, and let me redo these points right here because those are not correct. That's a little better there. And I'm going to fix these 2 points up here. There we go. Now we have our points nice and aligned. We could graph that line. Okay, so now that I have that line graph of less than or equal to is what I want, so I'm going to get out my shading tool here, and I'm going to shade below because I want all the numbers below my y-intercept, and then I'm just going to fill it in down here accordingly. And that would be the way our graph would look. Okay, so that would be the solution set for how many pounds of grapes and peaches I could buy. Okay, our next application is, you are a car dealer. You have $1,408,000 available to purchase compact cars and sport utility vehicles for your lot. The compact cars cost $11,000 and the sports utility vehicle costs $22,000. We want to let X represent the number of compact cars and let Y represent the number of sport utility vehicles you purchase. So we want to write and graph the inequality that represents the different numbers of compact cars and sport utility vehicles that you could purchase. So to start out with, we're going to start out the same way. Let's highlight our information. So I have compact cars cost $11,000. Okay, and then it goes ahead and says, let X represent the number of compact cars. Okay, so all that information goes together. Then let's concentrate on the sports utility vehicle. So sports utility vehicle cost $22,000. Okay, and then it says let Y represent the number of sports utility vehicles you purchase. Okay, so that's 2 pieces of information. Now I need my total here, and my total, it says we have $1,408,000 available to purchase. Okay, so let's set that up. Again, I'm going to have 11,000 X, and I'm going to add that to the number for my sports utility vehicle, which is going to be 22,000 Y. And again, I want that number to be less than or equal to, because I can't spend more than I have, supposedly, $1,408,000. Okay? So again, we need to solve this for Y. So if I solve it for Y, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract my 11,000 X from both sides. Set that up there. And I'm going to be left with 22,000 Y is less than or equal to, this is going to be negative 11,000 X plus $1,408,000 there. Okay? So now all I have to do is divide everything by 22,000 so I could get my Y by itself. Divide this by 22,000 so I could get Y by itself, and divide this over here by 22,000. Okay, so if I do the math here, this is going to leave me with Y on this side is less than or equal to. This is going to be a negative 1/2 X here. And then I'm going to say plus 64 if I take 1,408,000 divided by 22,000. Okay, so now I have, let me see, I've got my y-intercept of 64, and I've got my slope of negative 1/2. Okay, so I have those 2 things. I have enough information to graph my line over here. So let's start out. I'm going to count by 5s. Each grid is going to be worth 5 because I don't have 64 spaces here. So I'm going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, and I'm going to go just below that. 65 right there. Okay? And then I'm going to go down 1 and over 2. So I'm going to go down 1 over 2, and I'm going to go just below that line again, down 1 over 2, and it would be just below again. And I'm just going to stay each time below that line. Okay, so that would be a rough estimate of where my line would be. Then to graph that, my line would go through here just like this. Okay? And let's give it a shot and see if this line will straighten up just a little bit for us. Nope, it's going to stay the way it is, so that's fine. So I want less than or equal to, so that's why I made a solid line, was because we had less than or equal to, and then I want to shade everything below again. So I'm going below the y-intercept, and then I'm just going to keep shading everything in above here. And I'll just shade in this entire thing till I have what I need. Okay, so that would be the solution set for y is less than, or for the amount of cars and sports utility vehicles we got. So our last target, we have to determine the inequality given the graph. Okay, so here we have a graph, just like if we had y equals mx plus b. Okay, the two key things we need our slope and we need our y-intercept. So those are the two things we're going to look for. First thing, if I look for the y-intercept, I'm going to go down the y-axis, and I notice that my y-intercept is right here. So I'm going to say that my y-intercept is equal to -2. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is look for my slope, and I'm just going to kind of travel up my line right here. So I'm going to start from here and kind of travel up my line until I find a nice point right here, it looks like. And I'm going to use this point right here. So this tells me I'm going to go up 1 and over 2. So my slope is going to be 1/2. So I have enough information to write the equation of the line, but I'm actually looking for the inequality. So I'm going to start this out, and I'm going to say y, and then I'm just going to leave this as 1/2 x minus 2. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is figure out what my inequality is, if it's less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. And if I have a dotted line, that narrows it down to either less than or greater than. And I'm shaded above my y-intercept, so that tells me that my inequality is going to be greater than. And that pretty much completes what I would have to write the inequality from the graph.